Hello and welcome back to another podcast and video from Fantasy Football Scout on Euro 2024 Fantasy. There's not long left now, is there, to the tournament? That big deadline on the 14th of June, that first game, Germany versus Scotland. Our team's got to be locked in by then. So make sure, please, that you've subscribed to our channel, like this stream, put the notification bell on so that you don't miss anything that you need to know before the tournament, the transfer window and all of that locks up for that first match day. My name is Ed. You can follow me at _fantasyed on X on Twitter. And one more thing to say, by the way, please do join our league. Over 3,000 people have joined it now. There are going to be prizes. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the code just below my head. If you're listening on podcast, please look in the description. There's information there on how to join and a link. And in fact, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link below as well. You can just click that to auto join the league. Very simple process. What are we doing today? We are talking to another manager. It's a guy who has been involved kind of behind the scenes really in the growth of fantasy football and particularly Fantasy Football Scout for over a decade. His name is Chris at Elfozzie on X and Twitter. And we're going to be seeing his first draft, his team reveal, and also seeing if he's excited for the Euros that are on the horizon. So let's head on over to that. Hello, everyone. I am now, as I said, I'm here with Chris. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Ed. It's been a really long day, but I'm kind of in my evening time being excited about Euros and about my fantasy team and the lovely weather outside, which you can see coming through my window, sort of like
Absolutely
glorious.
Right, and I saw you as we were setting up quickly, running and getting the shirts and hanging them up behind you. That's not your normal setup, is it?
That is my normal setup. This is my podcast room. Me and my son, we do YouTube videos, not YouTube. We do Twitch videos are for FIFA, what's it called now? EAFC, which is me. Basically, it's a young boy being quite good at it and an old man swearing a lot at kids, which is quite good. You should check it out. I should do a promotion there, but yeah.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
we've got Europeans, we've got Barcelona, we've got Everton, my son's Chelsea shirt. We've got Richmond, obviously, on there, Salzburg. It's all go.
Perfect for the Euros, yeah. A bunch of club teams.
Exactly. Well, I can't. Do you know what? I haven't got an international shirt. Have you got? I used to have England shirts, and I just haven't bought one for years. I've just realised that I was looking for one. I haven't got one left.
Yeah, I've ordered one of those retro ones. You know, not like it's like it's an all black. It's a 1966 one, but it's all black. It's blacked out. It's quite cool. So you'll see that on a future video of this. So that'd be good. Well, look, are you looking forward to the Euros? How are you feeling? Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. I am actually generally excited. It feels like just yesterday. The FPL finished, and I was, but I am now, and it's like, oh God, we've got ages now to wait for football, and then we haven't, because there's kind of friendlies on now. There's drama about who's going to be selected and what have you, and I'm fully committed. I'm fully bought in. I'm really excited about it. And what I love is that the three games of football a day period, where even if you're kind of working.
Yeah.
You can
There's not going to be no work happening, Chris. And I say that as someone who
very
works
hard.
sometimes for you.
Working's our job, right? To watch football and understand. So
that's going to be amazing.
We do that. But yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I will confess right off the bat here that I'm not a UCL or Euros fantasy expert. I did play Euros last time. This year my UCL team. I started badly and then I got distracted, and so I missed a week, and then it was just so I'm not.
You started badly and you got worse.
That's pretty much my fantasy plan, actually. But no, I have been listening to your UCL podcast as well, which is fantastic. Very good value. It's my partner for running in, so I'm looking forward to hear who won, Ed. I can't imagine who won that.
Yes, I won, by the way. Yes, no, that's very good. Look, I've got some already. I've seen your team that we're going to see in a little bit, and I've already got some pointers. There's already some basic errors you've made, so we can use this. We can use this as a learning tool for all of us.
This is a learning, but not what not to do. But what I will say about this is the way I approach these games. The same with FPL is my first draft, which this is only a slightly modified version of. Is about hunch and feeling about teams and trying to focus on the teams I want to get in. And I've focused purely on group stages and really games 1 and 2 on the rationale that there's chips to play and third matches will always be a bit cagey anyway. And by the time we get to the the knockouts, I'll be able to change the team totally. So I'm really thinking the first two weeks, really, what are the teams I want, who I think should get the big points. And I've gone, as you'll show, if you're not sure already, I've gone big up top. Big at the top is the way I've kind of gone, which you're going to tell me is a terrible strategy.
No. People who've been watching my videos know I can't make any argument for not going big up top. I don't know how you can avoid players like when there's Kane, Mbappe, Lukaku, Ronaldo. It's very hard to go for anyone else. You're taking a big risk. And personally, like, I love a goal scorer. I know everyone does, but I just can't like not pick them. I just find it. I couldn't watch a Portugal game and not have Ronaldo. This is my issue at the moment. Whereas I think Lukaku's a better pick. I know I'm gonna end up picking Ronaldo because I just can't not. So
I've got both.
There you go. So you've missed someone else. Yeah, exactly. Well, look. Let's just before we do get into your team, Chris. Some people might think, who is this guy? I don't know who Chris is. Do you want to give us a little background into who you are and why you're on this video?
Young man. Who's this? Is this
exactly.
up and comer? This fresh?
Because in my intro that you didn't see, I said you're sort of a big, part of the fantasy football world for the last decade or so and more. But tell people what you want to tell them. I'm
one of the twin colossi bestriding the fantasy world. Yeah, no, I basically co-founded Fantasy Football Scout. Been involved in this shenanigan for 12 or 13 years, but I was on the business side. So yeah, Mark Southerns, everyone knows Mark the GOAT. He was the person that actually knew things. I do play fantasy. I love football. I'm an Everton fan. Despite that, I love football. And I've been playing fantasy since the Telegraph days for years and years.
And you got a top 5K finish once, didn't you?
I did get top 5K.
You do say that in almost every other sentence when I see you. So
I've had a top 5K finish.
Okay, good. So, yeah. So, and look, Chris, I obviously do some work for Scout, and Chris is obviously still involved at Scout, and he's been around for a long time, so he certainly knows what he's talking about. I say that, but let's look at his team and decide ourselves. So here we go. I've just put it on screen, Chris. I know you won't know that, but it's on screen now. I will just read it for the podcast listeners, right, if you're listening audibly, but also it's helpful to go through it. So on the pitch, we have Jordan Pickford in goal. Everton fan here, but also very good value in the game, as people who know that I've said that many times. He's my keeper. Mittelstadt, like everyone has, that 4 million defender for Germany. Dumfries, Akanji, Gundogan, Bellingham, Tielemans and De Bruyne in midfield. Ronaldo, Mbappe and Lukaku up front, so no Harry Kane. On the bench, currently he's got Lunin as the goalkeeping bench player, Kerkez as a defender, Pavard as a defender, the French defender, and Schmidt, which if you watched my video, 5 players to avoid, was one of them. So so we'll talk about this, but this is all very good. So Chris, talk me through your team. Talk me through each pick. I want to hear why you've picked them.
Okay, I mean, I think it's more. I do it by country because I think that's how I've done it. I'm gonna. This is why I've gone with these players and why I've gone with these countries. I'm not convinced England will win the thing as much as someone else is. I'd love it, of course, but I do expect us to put in a really good performance, especially early on. So I'm trying to go with I want to have a strong England presence. I can't. The Kane issue is a big issue. I did try, and it's not impossible. A future draft, I might weaken and bring in, but I just couldn't quite make it work with the other options. So that's why he's not in it. But yeah, Pickford, no brainer. Absolutely want him in. Best goalkeeper, England's #1. Incredible player.
And by the way, just on that, only £5 million, which makes no sense. England are the favourites. And you've got other keepers like Donnarumma at Italy who are nowhere near as much favourites as us, even to keep clean sheets. And he's 6 million just because it's Donnarumma. So Pickford, yeah, for me, as people who watch know, I don't think you can go without Pickford. I think it's mad value.
Yeah, so and then Bellingham's been my other choice. I think my other midfield England choice is variable. I kind of want Foden, possibly. I can't, but then it's just my problem with that is the same problem as Gareth Southgate's got. Fortunately, I don't have to solve it the way he does. Like, I would love to see an England team with Saka, with Foden, with Palmer, Bellingham, probably with Grealish, maybe Eze. Where are you going to put them all? You're not put them.
What formation are you playing?
Yeah, I'm playing a 1-1-7-2, and with Kane up top, of course. So I think and I think that there's a lot of creative options, and that's possibly the argument against Bellingham. But I think Bellingham really shone at the last tournament, and I think he's going to do it again. I might I might get persuaded by the next friendly to tweak that to another of
It's
the
yeah, I was going to say it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Bellingham is either going to play as a deep lying playmaker sort of player alongside Rice, or in which case he's appealing, but at 9.5 is he worth the money? But if he plays in that 10 position, like behind Kane, that we don't know whether he's going to, but if he does, and obviously that's the position he's played at Real Madrid this season, he's got 24 goals, I think, or 23 goals and
yeah.
10 assists and Ballon d'Or contender. It's really, really, really tempting, isn't it? Whether he can translate into England is the question, because Real Madrid, as I think I've said this in another video, Real Madrid, when they play Bellingham in that position, they have split forwards. So Rodrigo and Vinicius split, and he runs through the middle, and he's basically the striker. Whereas with England, he'd have Kane in front of him, so it would be different. But still, Bellingham's an incredible talent. At the moment, I think he's probably going to play in a deeper position. But as you say, let's look at the friendlies and see what happens.
So yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think as we get closer to we're sure who the entire final squad is, and see the last friendly and have a proper another final dive through the numbers, it might be that changes, but it will be an England player. And at the moment Bellingham's the lead choice. So England, I've got a couple of those. I'd like to have Kane, can't fit him in at the moment unless I can get him for 4 million or something. Belgium.
You can't. I know you worked on the business side of Scout. You did tell us you can't do deals with this game. There's no negotiation.
I can negotiate. I know people at UEFA.
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
No, you know exactly. I mean, Belgium are not dark horses. They're a top side that do well consistently. Certainly in the group stages, I think that's a team that's capable of racking up some big goals in the kind of group stages. Yeah, maybe the golden generation didn't achieve quite as much as they hoped to. We've all got golden generations, but the players are still there. I think De Bruyne might feel he's got something to prove. I could think this could be a chance for him. Tielemans was the right price, give me another Belgian player, and as if he plays, which again I think he's going to get enough game time. And Lukaku, I can't see Lukaku not being their main foil, and he does look different for me for Belgium. He does look, when I've seen Belgium, he feels a bit more like the player when he was at Everton, and
top scorer in the Euros, Chris. Yeah, 14 goals in Euros, broke all records.
So he's one of those players that's pulling it out for country but hasn't done so for club. So I'm not really bothered by the kind of club. I mean, he's not been awful for club, whatever.
No.
So and then France are the other people I think I think they're probably my favourites to win it. The most gifted, most experienced tournament side. So I want again a good presence for them. So that's why Mbappe is absolute no-brainer. He was the first name on the sheet. He was incredible at the World Cup. Again, he's been okay in the Farmers League. No offense. And yeah, he turns it on international level, and it's going to happen again. And I can see he's going to be my captain starting first week, I think. And then I've got Pavard, which I'm not crazy excited about, and you can tell me he's probably not going to play or something annoying like that. But I remember he's a name I remember from the last tournament, and again he fits the profile. That might be one that changes. Yeah. I'd like France if I could, but at the moment that's kind of where I've got. And then other teams, Portugal. Ronaldo. I like you. I saw him play in Saudi. I was over there for a trip and saw him, and he still looked fair enough. The quality of the position may not be quite as good, but they were, there was some big names there as well. He's still got the acceleration. He's still got the instincts. He's scoring a hatful of goals there, and he's going to be on pens, free kicks.
Second top scorer in qualifying, Chris, behind Lukaku with 10 goals. So he's still scoring for club and country. But carry on.
Yeah. So he's a no-brainer for me. And then I think there are probably other options I can consider, but that's kind of where we've gone with that. So going through Belgium and blah, 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 and then Germany. So Germany, like everybody seems to be counting them off straight away. You don't count out the Germans. It's like we've learned nothing. It's like fair enough. Yeah, they're not in their warm-up form has been patchy. They're lacking stars in certain areas where they might have had them before. They're at the home tournament. This is the Germans. They're not gonna.
But they're playing them. They're playing. They're coming up against giants like Scott McTominay in game week 1. That's what I
mean. They have one of the. I don't think any of the groups are super easy, but they have one of the easy groups to my mind anyway. And I can see them. Nothing against Scotland, but I can see them scoring a decent amount. I've gone with the middle him. Not because I know anything about him, but that's what I've not actually done as much. I've listened to some of the podcasts, but not as much as I will do. But he's just a name that everyone's just said no brainer, enabler, going to start 4 million, boom. So he's in. And then Gundogan's another option, and I like Gundogan. I love him at City. I've had him as an FPL asset. I think he's that sort of player that can suddenly pop in the box and put the final fixture, can pick up the goals and assists, and is one of the older heads there maybe that I think will be hopefully given his head in the Euros. So I think those are my two choices there. And then let's go down, and we've got left in the starting lineup that leaves us Dumfries. That leaves us the Dutch. Always brings something. They bring out some big scores. Always seem to start these things well before they inevitably fall apart in some dramatic climax, whether it's internal fighting or just the team forgetting to turn up or something. But I've got with Dumfries. I would like Van Dijk, but I don't. Again, that's going to require some budget changes. Maybe Bellingham moves to someone else. Maybe Dumfries becomes Van Dijk. But Dumfries, I remember from the last Euros, which is only about a year ago, the way Euros work, and he was great. And and he's one of those players that's getting assists. I know ball recoveries. That's the thing I've really got to get in my head. Ball recoveries. It's not a thing that excites me, ball recoveries, but I know it's really important in this game. And I know he's probably not a key player for that, but for assists, for getting forward, maybe even getting a goal. Assuming he's going to play, which again I need a bit more research than that.
I think he is. He's up against Frimpong for them, but who's had an incredible season at Bayer Leverkusen. But I think
Dumfries only nearly unbeaten, so why would you pick him? I mean, that's
exactly.
Van Dijk's got the entire season out losing the games.
Yeah, Van Dijk's on penalties. Unbelievable.
See that I had heard that, and that obviously means Van Dijk's an essential, doesn't it? Really?
No, not essential. I mean, there's not a penalty every game.
Defender on pens. Is he any good at pens though? I mean, that's
I think he took Holland's last one and he scored. But yeah, I mean, just to finish it off, talk about Akanji. I don't think you talked about him yet.
No. I'm just going. The final thing I was going to say about the Dutch.
Sorry, yeah.
Is I might well bring in Verbruggen as my second keeper. At the moment, I haven't because I'm not sure if he's going to. It seems to be like the Dutch have got options.
He's just been confirmed today. He's going to be the starting keeper by the manager.
Okay. In which case, I'll probably switch him because he's done at 4.5 or something, isn't he? He's quite cheap.
Yeah, 4.5.
I think I might swap him in as my second keeper alongside Pickford. In which case, I'll have two Dutch. So then Akanji is just a player I know.
Nice.
I don't know. This is probably where I'm starting to stretch a little bit.
No, Chris, Akanji. Out of all the players you've got, Akanji is in my essential list because I know you will have done the research on this and know this already, but he got the second most ball recoveries in all of qualifying at 75 or something, and the top guy was some Finnish guy who hasn't qualified. So Akanji's the best ball recoverer in the whole tournament, and we know he can get attacking returns.
That's why I picked him, like you say. I probably Akanji's probably name has been recommended elsewhere, but looking at the options around that place, he's like, well, he's a decent season, obviously, and again, group wise, I think that's okay. And then you get to my bench, and there we go. And there are other players on the bench. So I know this is a game where you've got to use the full squad, right? Because you can't really have players because you can change players between games and captaincy. And that is probably the weakest part of this lineup. You'll point out in a second all of the weaknesses. But in there, I've got Kerkez because I've heard of him. Hungary, and I think Hungary could do all right.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't think that's bad.
And I've got Schmid from because he's Swiss and he was selected. He was the right price and he was selected by 15% of the players. So that is my main reason for selecting him.
This feeds in perfectly to those of you who watched my 5 players to avoid, because Schmidt has never even played a game for Switzerland, and the only reason he's been picked by 15% is this. People are looking and going, he's picked 15%. So, and it's kind of just grown because he's cheap. And people go, oh, he's going to play. He's not going to play. He's not going to play. So there's the first error. But, Chris, no, this is a very good team. Like, I'm not going to rip it apart at all. I mean, you'll probably end up beating me. I'm like, I'm no super, super duper expert. I'm just super keen in getting experts on, right? But there's 2 errors that we can just do a little workshop on. Is that if Schmid was going to play, he should be on the pitch at the start because he plays towards the start of the match day. Yeah. So even if you think he's crap, put him on and then put, De Bruyne on the bench and bring De Bruyne on after, whatever. The second error is the captaincy. You want to put on Gundogan because Gundogan plays the first day and you can change your captaincy every single day. So don't put it on Mbappe because you're wasting 2 days of potential massive hauls, right? So that's the stick or twist element. As people have watched this game and watched my how-to guide, they know this stick or twist element to the game is the fun bit, which is you get in match day 1, we're going to have 5 chances to hit a massive captain. You may well end up with it on Mbappe on day 3 or 4, whatever it is they play. But you want to, it's good. And the last thing to check with every draft before you click the confirm and leave it on June 14th is, do you have at least one player playing every day? So that you have at least one captaincy option every day if you need it. That's a very important thing to do.
I do. Do I?
Let's have a look. So you've got Gundogan on day 1. Yeah, I've just got the fixtures here in front of me.
15, 16, 17, 18. Is that enough, or do I need it as a game mode?
14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, no, that's right. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yes, you do. So who plays on the 15th for you? Is it a Hungary player? Kirk.
It's it's Akanji.
Yes, Akanji as well.
It's Schmid, who won't be playing, so he'll be replaced by someone else.
And it's Kirkes.
Who won't ever be in the team, but he plays in the Premier League, doesn't he? So I know his name.
He does, and he should be on the pitch as well. Kirkes should be on the pitch instead of Mbappe or something, and then you can bring him on. But look, the essentials are there for me. Just to comment on a few, look, Lukaku, and just for our listeners to keep reminding them of the reasons that these picks are being picked. Lukaku, 14 goals for Belgium in qualifying, broke all records, ahead by a mile. He's been doing well in Italy, but internationally, like Chris said, he is so confident, and he's just the key to their team, right? Mbappe is Mbappe. We don't need to talk about that. I think he got 9 goals in 8 games in qualifying or something. France had, I think, the most goals and the most shots alongside Portugal. It was 1 and 2. I can't remember which way around. Ronaldo, a lot of people will go, Ronaldo, isn't he like 40 now? Well, yes, he is nearly 40, but he's still incredible. The second highest scorer in qualifying. He got more than Mbappe. He got more than Kane, yada, yada, yada. For a team like Portugal, who were incredibly attacking, an average of something like 3.6 goals a game, about 40 shots a game or something stupid. So they're a team to back. Bruno Fernandes is a very good option for them. He's expensive, but he got 6 goals in qualifying. Kevin De Bruyne in your midfield. A lot of people are obviously going to pick him. He's such a talented player. But he only played 2 games in qualifying, and because of injury, and he didn't get any goals and didn't get any assists. So he's entering this tournament, and of course we know what he can do, but we don't quite know, I don't think, or we can't be quite confident how he fits into this team and how is he going to be. I think a lot of people, because I know Gianni when he came on my video and the other day, he has Lukaku and De Bruyne, and I think he was like, I just imagine Lukaku playing at De Bruyne lots and scoring, and that's not necessarily going to be the case. Tielemans, interesting pick. Hadn't thought of him, but obviously he's a key part to that Belgian team. I've spoken about Bellingham. Bellingham being, I think, I need to wait and see where he plays, and he's a lot of money, 9.5. I think he's 9.5. I think that's what he is. Gundogan's a good pick. A lot of people go Gundogan, and he's on penalties for Germany, so that's a really good pick. Mittelstadt, obviously a good pick. Dumfries, great. Kanji, I love him. Pickford, the best keeper I think you can get in the game. Lunin, your reserve keeper, again, very good. He's nailed down that number 1 spot at Ukraine, and they've got a pretty good group. They could go through. Kirkes, again, great. Hungary in Euro 2020 with a surprise package, if you remember. They were in a group with Germany, they were in a group with France, and they were in a group with, can't remember, someone else. And they did really well. Portugal. They lost to Portugal, but they drew with the other 2. Defensively, they're pretty good. Szoboszlai, people who watch my videos know, 7 million in midfield, Szoboszlai, everything goes through him. He's on pens. I think they could do quite well. Pavard, fine, not bad. I mean, is he 5.5, I think, Pavard? He's reasonably expensive.
He's 5 million.
Is he 5? Okay, well, yeah. Look, if he starts, that's probably a good pick. I'll probably look at him again. I need to look at him again. And then Schmid's not gonna play. An alternative to Schmid, if you can find 0.5 million somewhere, Chris, is Jorginho. 5 million for Italy. He's going to start, and he could be on pens. He could be the biggest bargain in the game.
I haven't got any Italians. That is definitely. I know, and I like Jorginho actually. I haven't got Italians. That's one of the things I'm feeling. One of those big European teams I don't feel probably represented. I'm not as excited about Italy. I mean, they were obviously they won the last one. Don't know who they beat. Can't remember. Lucky, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But then it seems to have kind of disintegrated a bit since then. So, but yeah, you can never count them out at a big tournament. I think So Schmidt has to go. So I'll take that on board. I'm glad that the rest of it you're kind of largely agreeing with. But the main thing I'm taking away from this, if I may, Ed, is that you're saying I'm probably spending too much on De Bruyne and Bellingham.
I think so. But that's me. You know, I'm speaking to other
Yeah.
people, like I'm speaking to, you know, Praz this week and FPL Harry and all these super duper experts, like particularly Praz, such as Strategist, and Harry's FPL records off the charts. They're not as good as you, of course, Chris, but you know, and
I think
you
we're
know,
much better.
they may go for these premiums, but I just think in midfield, I've got quite a cheap midfield with like, I've got Scott McTominay in mine, and I've got I haven't
Hang
got.
on. Well, hang on. What, you're giving me advice? No, he's done quite well actually for Scotland, hasn't he?
Scott McTominay, Chris, in 8 qualifying games, got 7 goals and 1 assist. So he was the 4th top scorer in the whole of qualifying.
And but you know, again, we'll see. No, it's not. He's not a terrible player at all. That's interesting. I don't know if I'll be going straight to Scott McTominay. But,
yeah, he's not the natural change.
But no, I
yeah.
think you've already made me have a rethink about De Bruyne and Bellingham. And obviously Schmidt has to go. And
but look, if Bellingham plays in that 10, then yeah, I probably still won't have him. But I wouldn't. I'd say. Yeah,
but the thing is for Belgium, who else are you looking at? I actually quite like Trossard, but is he going to start?
Good question. I don't know the predicted lineups on that. I think he probably will.
Like Trossard and Doku. Like Doku, he's can be so exciting.
But he's a forward in this game, I think.
Oh, he is good. You're right. No, sorry.
Okay. Which is fine, but again, those 3 forward slots are so valuable in this game. That.
So who's the midfielder? Who else? If I was to change De Bruyne.
Yeah,
and you know, could go anywhere.
Yeah,
I can. It's literally the game I can do. I like. What you know? Is there anyone obvious that I'm missing out here from a midfield perspective? You'd suggest?
For me, it's one of 2. It would either be Bruno Fernandes, who's 9.5.
Who?
Who've got a good group. They play on the last day, so he's a good captaincy option. You've already got Ronaldo, so you don't necessarily need him. But I'm probably going to end up with both. Or at 7 million, as I said, I think quite a few people will pick him, but not too many, is Szoboszlai at Hungary. I watched every goal, as people, I've said this about 4 times on these videos, but I watched every goal that Hungary scored in qualifying. You can do that on the UEFA website. You can click a team and it shows every single goal they scored in qualifying. It's quite cool. And Szoboszlai, really cool. Szoboszlai for Hungary was just everything went through him. And he's not the Szoboszlai of Liverpool, who's been a bit underwhelming, hasn't he, at Liverpool, I think? But that's maybe because Liverpool.
A lot of the new signings have. I mean, but that tends to be at Liverpool. You know, they take a season or so to bed in, and then they really come good afterwards. If they're going to.
But I think, look, he's on pens as well. So I mean, my midfield is Szoboszlai. People have looked at it and commented that is the most boring midfield I've ever seen in my life, and I get it. But it's Szoboszlai, Jorginho, Scott McTominay, Rodri, and Bruno Fernandes at the moment. But that's because I thought there was rumours that Rodri was going to be on penalties, but there's been a counter to that maybe Morata's on penalties. So if Morata is on penalties, and I'll do a bit more research on that, then Rodri will probably come out my team, and I don't know who I'll go to from there because he's only 6.5, maybe. Yeah, I've no idea. I need to look at it. But my first draft hasn't actually changed once yet.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but I've got. I mean,
I'd love if I tell you who I'd have if Palmer was a guaranteed starter. I'd have him.
You only say that because you went to a game where he scored. Didn't you go to a game where he scored 4 goals against you?
I did. I went as an Everton fan. So I only get to see a couple of games this season because I live in London. And I can't get to Goodison every year. Try and get to some of the London games. This year I hadn't been to Stamford Bridge. My son hadn't been to Stamford Bridge, and he's a Chelsea fan. Of course, he's 12, isn't anything. So I went with him, thinking, oh, it's been an exciting game, and it was exciting. But being surrounded by Chelsea fans, first of all I kind of got up. The following 4 or 5 goals, I didn't celebrate quite as much. I didn't even make the effort. I think it's.
And Palmer got what, 4? Did he, or did he?
Palmer got 4. And they're all different. He scored an incredible chip, and I know he's just a class act as has been proven. What I love about him is he just doesn't. He doesn't seem to have a sense of the occasion. Like you can see why he scores so many penalties. He doesn't seem bothered. He looks more relaxed than I do doing a kick about in the park. I mean, he's not a better player, but it just looks like he is a jumpers for goalposts, small boys in the park all the time. He's like, oh yeah, of course, scored and a penalty, scored it. Yeah, what? That's right.
I just don't think he'll start.
No, so it's irrelevant, isn't it? But yeah, okay, I'm good. So Schmidt, I need to get rid of. Szoboszlai's an option.
But look, this all depends, as you know, Chris, as you mentioned, this all depends on your chip strategy because, there's lots of the chip strategy.
The chip strategy?
The chip strategy has begun. You should watch my video on chip strategy, okay, Chris? You need to do that because the big difference between this and other fantasy games is this is only 7 match days long. You've only got 7 chances to pick a squad,
and you get there's a free wild card.
You get 2 chips.
It's 2 chips and a free wild card.
Yes, correct.
Is that after the group stages, right? Or is it after
between the group stages and the knockouts, you get a free wild card, but everyone gets that. So discount that, you get 2 others: a limitless and a wild card. And to add into that, this thing's happened again with the balloons. I don't know why that happens. Did you see that?
I didn't do that. I'm not celebrating your. Yeah.
But it has happened in about 5 videos, and I don't know how it happens. Anyway, I get comments going.
Maybe it's happy birthday. You're doing
no idea. Anyway, if you're listening on podcast, basically a bunch of balloons went past me again. I don't know how it happens. I trigger it somehow.
It's not working for me.
Anyway, we get 2 chips, and then we've only got five choices that we can actually play them on. 5 match days, because you can't play it match day 1. You can't play it in the round of 16 because you get the free wild card. So you've got to play 2 chips in match day 2, match day 3. Quarter-final, semi-final, or final. You're not going to play them in the final or the semi-final because it's too late.
Your impact is going to be limited, right? Because we're all going to have very similar teams.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you need to get there, but because you'll, So you're really talking about there's 2. That's 2 out, really.
You're not even going to play it on the semi-final.
You've really got 3 or 4 viable. And I wouldn't. Are you going to play it in game week 3? The problem with game week 3, I guess you know a lot about, but a lot of the time is a very cagey matches, right? Or massively rotated matches if people have got through. So it's kind of not an ideal place to play, a chip, I imagine. I don't know. So really, probably
it's almost as if you've watched
or the quarters, is it? Is that
it's almost as if you've watched my chip strategy video.
I haven't seen chip. I've just used the powers of deduction.
No, it's good. Yeah, exactly. Well, I did this, and then everyone slated me. Though they didn't quite slate me, but I said there's only 2 viable strategies. It's either you do I can't remember what they are now. But anyway, my point was match day 3, there's too much rotation because if England are through, Kane gets rested. If France are through, Mbappe's rested, yada, yada, yada. In match day 2, you look at the fixtures, everyone's got the hardest game. France has got the hardest game. Holland's got the hardest game. I think Germany have the hardest game. I think England pretty much have the hardest game. So you think, well, what? Don't waste a limitless there. Then you're reduced to going, okay, well, knockouts. So for me, my current strategy is limitless in the quarterfinals. Although there are some cons to that because then they're playing harder teams. There's less teams to spread it across. I don't know, things like that. And then the wild card in the semis so that you can set yourself up for the semi-final and the final. And that would mean to kind of get back to the original point I was making, that would obviously mean my team that I'm picking initially for this tournament, I need to be thinking about the whole group stage to carry it through. Yeah, whereas a lot of people are going to be employing a match day 2 chip and a match day 3 chip so that they get a free hit essentially in game week 1, a free hit essentially in game week 2, a free hit essentially in match day 3, and a free hit or a new team with the free wild card in the round of 16. So they get 4 fresh teams.
But then they have to see it.
But then they have to see out the competition.
I guess the thing is though, there's more games, so there's more player rotation opportunities. Substitution opportunities and stuff, and it's certainly captaincy that you're maximising the captaincy, the best captaincy options each time, right? The thing I need to get my head around ball recoveries, and the other thing I need to get my head around, which I know the rules, but I
know the rules. I promise.
No, but it's the one bonus. And who gets that? And that's the thing I haven't done any research on yet, which I'm going to do some research on. I actually asked the scout people.
There's actually no point doing research because UEFA choose it, and it's always really random.
Is it always random? Because I remember, but because I am old school. I remember I was having a conversation with the other day. I remember that back in the day, before FPL had Opta, we worked with the Premier League for a long time, and we know ins and outs of it. And they had the PA used to do it. They provided the data, and their bonus back then was basically man in the stand deciding it, a bit like UEFA, maybe a bit like the Sun do their whatever the time, whatever. And but you could, the thing about it is, you after a little while you got a sense of who is likely to be. It was like, oh well, it's Rooney or it's blah, it's whoever. It's a couple of players that always sucked up the points. A bit like when we hear pundits talking, even though like a big player might have had a really average match, they'll find the 2 things they've done brilliant and go, well, he's always amazing, isn't he? Because he did that one good thing. And So I need to work out for that. But you're telling me that isn't the case, and it's not based on a points score in the background
There's
somewhere.
no bonus. There's no bonus point system. It is like,
But
if you watch, if you watch Sky,
the ranking on something.
no,
What do they base the ranking?
it's not ranking. It's not ranking. It's just the man of the match. It's like man of the match at a kid's football game. You just go, who played best? Well, probably him, and someone makes the decision.
It must tend to be more forward players, right? That typically goes to players who are scoring or assisting.
No, well, it's pretty random. I mean, it's pretty random. You've got, because it's the same as the UCL fantasy thing, and this season, you'll have a game where I don't know, Foden gets 2 goals, but then the man of the match is Bernardo Silva, even though he didn't score, and you think, oh, hang on. So there's no ranking. It's just based off a group of people who think they played the best. It's kind of purist, a bit more purist football. It's not just based on who gets the goals, but who they literally think they had the best game. So it is quite good. Really,
I mean, I think that's good. I think that's really.
And that player will get 3 points.
That's a huge differential. Especially for captaincies and stuff, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess going back to the reason I'm mentioning this is in those early games, the logic behind playing more chips early on is you've got more games, more chance to change the captain, and more chance then to snag the player that does get not only the goals but also the bonus. So that might be the logic. And I think I'm sure it's true. There's more goals scored in the group stage matches on average than in the later stages. I don't have anything to base that on, but just
it's probably right. Yeah, it's probably right. The problem with the captaincy, you got a bigger mismatch of teams. Yeah, the biggest problem, it's not a problem, it's fun, it's part of the game. But with the captaincy element of this game, and we'll finish in a minute, everyone. But I know you're engrossed. But the biggest element of the captaincy, say you captain Gundogan, right, game week 1, because you would, because through your or Mitchell, whatever. And so someone on the first day, I might just captain McTominay, whatever. Say McTominay gets a goal, an assist, and man of the match, right? So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He finishes on something like 12 points and doubled to 24. Now, in this game, you could stick with that and be very happy. But when you've got the knowledge that Harry Kane, Mbappe, Ronaldo are all going to be playing pretty good fixtures, and you think, well, if they get 2 goals, or if they get a hat-trick, I'm not going to captain, and I don't captain. So you can get very painful weeks where someone, let's make it more realistic. Someone gets a goal and man of the match, and they've got like 10 points, it doubled to 20. Do you move on from that? And that is the discussion that goes on Twitter and on YouTube and all this sort of stuff. Do you move on from your captaincy? Are you going to stick or twist? Because if you don't, and then the player you were going to captain gets 4 goals, it's hands in head. And if you do, and then you never catch another one for the rest of the match day, it's hands in head. It's absolutely anxiety inducing.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you for as you can see, I've shared my lack of insight. I've got insight. I like watching a lot of football, but yeah, I'm looking at more at this stage from the
it's
teams
good.
I think will do well and the
team.
players I think will do well.
Yeah,
and,
it's not the worst.
I will now go into this and I will listen again to all the casts and read. I'm actually going to get the Fantasy Football Scout members area, plug, has now got all the data from all the European qualifiers. You can even go back and see the last Euros if you really want to. That's in as well. We've got all the international friendly data in there, and obviously we will have all the tournament data in there. So all the things like who's XG, ball recoveries. You can do lots of comparisons with players. There's loads of cool stuff you can do, and obviously the articles which I'll be reading shortly have proper analysis done for you to make life easy as well. And usually the data analysis bit is hidden for members only. So, as if you didn't need more reason to sign up at a discount price, down 40% off the full price, especially for Euros. That is the reason. I've done a plug, and something I'm going to do anyway. So, but I've already paid, so I don't need to do it again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you for showing your team. We'll probably have Chris back at some point throughout the month, I'm sure. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe and notification and all that. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a nice review, and I'll see you in the next video.